Thanks for joining me again in Back Alley Bonsai. It is a lovely winter day here in Los Angeles. The sky is blue. It's a little bit chilly by LA standards, which means it is a brisk 60 degrees, which by LA standards means it is basically freezing. I've decided I'm going to come out here today and I'm going to do a little bit of pruning work on my Crepe Myrtle. I've had this in my collection, grown from a cutting for probably 5 years now. It's not a native. Obviously, this is an Australian tree. However, they are common here in Los Angeles. You find them everywhere. They're basically decorative road trees. And they're really easy to grow here because they're very drought tolerant. They're kind of water hogs, but they'll also put up with not being watered very well. They'll put up with a lot of the heat, and they seem to really thrive once they get established in this area. We can see we've had a very strong growth. I've actually cut this back a couple of times this year, and it's looking really good and definitely in need of a bit of a trim. Now, I've had this tree in this nursery pot for a couple of years now, and what I did with it is I've got another overturned nursery pot underneath it so that it's sitting up on top of it to try and encourage some amount of root flare. I want to take a look at this really quickly. I'm not going to do any real root work, but I want to take a look at the roots because I haven't looked at them at all since I put it in this container. So let's see what we got. Hopefully we got some, well, that's really tight. So hopefully we got some really nice looking roots. And yeah, there we go. So we've got some really nice looking roots. You can kind of see the old, or the other container that's under here. It's just a plastic pot. There's all the roots, and you can see underneath it, there's our opening. And I'm not going to do any major repotting at this point, but I am going to rake away some of the topsoil and just kind of see what's going on with it. See how good my root flare is looking. Do I need to make any adjustments in the springtime? I could probably work on this tree right now as far as the roots go. Like I said, these crepe myrtles are really hardy. They grow really well here in Los Angeles. Pretty much any Mediterranean or Australian native works well here. That's why olives grow well. That's looking kind of cool. Oh yeah, that's looking really nice. Just want to see if I want to raise this up a little bit in the pot or what I want to do with it. Not much action on this back side. I got a big thick root right there. A lot of activity on this side, which means I may have to do some repositioning, try and accentuate all of this. But I'm going to raise it up a bit in the pot and try and expose some of this when I put it back in there. But all that's looking really cool. I like that. Glad to see that. So overall, the tree is looking really good. It's getting a little bit too tall. It's obviously out of the frame. I really kind of want it right about here, I think, as far as its height goes. So I am just going to take this leading branch, which is really shot off here, and I'm going to start by just taking that off completely. I don't really have too many issues with dieback on this tree, so as long as there's something active on it, it usually does okay. And what I've got here is I've got two branches coming out right here. This one's coming in towards this branch, which I don't really care for. So I'm probably just going to take that one off completely. And there's another branch clean up a little dead stub there. There's another branch right here, which is growing in the back. I'm just going to take that back to a couple of buds. In fact, actually, that's okay. And then this one as well, I'm just going to take it back to two internodes. I got an internode there and an internode there. So I'll just take that off right there. And then hopefully in the springtime, we'll get some growth out of these areas. Same thing with this one. It's just growing a little bit too long. Again, I've got a dead stub right here. I'll just take that off. This is getting a little bit bulky right here. There's a little bit of swelling on this little knuckle. So this may have to come off in the future. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and just leave it. For this one here, again, I'm just going to go back to a couple of internodes on it right there. And then same thing with this one. There and there. And let's see if I can clean up this little stub here without doing too much damage. Wrong set of cutters for that job, but there you go. And this is a very tight little transition, so I'm not sure that I like it very much, but we'll see what happens in the future. I got this one, which is growing out. I think it's a little bit too close to the juncture, because I like this split right here. Next, we'll take a look at this pair of branches here. Clean up a little dead stub there. So I think I'm just going to cut this all the way back to there. There's a nice internode there. And then I'll take this one off as well. Keep this nice and small. Try and get the internodes, the spacing on these smaller and smaller. So same thing with this one. There's an internode right there, so I'll take that off to there. And this gets us over to my nice bottom branch. And I like overall the way this one's working. So it comes up, here's my main trunk line. It's got a nice natural movement to it. It comes over, comes into this first branch, which is well proportioned to the rest of the trunk, I think. And it's got some nice movement to it. Got some nice division, subdivision. This has got an interesting turn on it. This is entirely natural. I didn't wire this curve back. It curves back on itself, which is not ideal, I don't think, but I think it also looks okay being a natural branch. This does happen on these trees on their own without any effort. And you can see here where I've done some clip backs repeatedly on it. So I'm just going to cut these way back again, just to a couple of internodes, just to see if I get something interesting out of it. It's got a nice pattern. It comes right and then left and then back to a nice even split on it. Looking at this one, probably getting a little bit too aggressive without additional branching. I'd like to move this branching back to here. And the same thing with this one, back to there. This branch, however, I do not know that I need. It comes off of this one very quickly and just cuts back at a really acute angle. So this angle is, and maybe even like an 85-degree angle on this branch right here, and then comes back out. So I think it doesn't flow nicely. Like if it came up off of this, like it kind of fills in this bit of space right here, which is okay. But I'd like to have something else doing it instead of this branch right here. It just doesn't have it like come out and then dogleg back over itself like that. It doesn't seem great. So I think I'm going to take that off. Okay. And this one's very long and straight right here. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to take it off to right there. And this one I'm going to kind of leave as is, I think. I'm just going to take the tip off of it. This little dead stub right there. So I strip the bark away on it. Hopefully that survives. And clean some of this up right there. And this one here, it's doing some odd stuff. So this little branch right here is going that way. It's actually just kind of got, comes out here and it's got like a reindeer antler where everything's just kind of going that direction, which isn't terrible, honestly. I think it just might be a little bit too long. So I've got this big, long one. So I'm going to cut this back to this branch right here. I'll take the tip off of that. And yeah, I think I'm going to take this off right here. So at least it comes out a little bit further before it starts to grow back out that direction. I'm going to take a step back and take a look at this thing. I'm thinking this branch here is too long without a change in direction. You know, it's longer than this section of the trunk without any movement whatsoever. It's just totally straight. Look at it from a different angle here. See if that changes my mind about it at all. Yeah, it really is just too long and straight. You know, this has got a bunch of great movement in it. This has got a bunch of great movement in it, and then this just goes straight up. Got a couple of internodes on here. There's one here. There's an old leaf scar, and then there's an internode here as well. So I think I'm just going to take this off right there. See if I get a little bit of growth right there. This one's a little bit better. It's a little long, like it's got a long internode on it as well. This one's long and straight. It's got a little bit of movement right here. And then this one also has a little bit of, it's kind of a long and straight section right there. And at the top of the tree, I'd like to try and get some more fine movement out of it. So I think what I may do is see if I can grow this maybe as my main trunk line. I would come up like that. And then this one being a secondary one. So I may just need to take all of this way back. There are some internodes right here, so yeah, I think I'm going to just take that off too right there. It's a bummer to lose that top growth, but sometimes that's just what the project calls for. Now my side branch is starting to get a little on the long side, but I can always take it back later if I need to. Maybe later reinvent this that way. Turn that into my main trunk. We'll see what happens. As always, I look into the process more than I look at the finished project. I just like making the tree that I have into something that I think looks cool. Now this looks a little bit too long. It's, again, long and straight, not a lot of movement on it, but I've got some nice internodes on it. There's a little leaf scar right here. There's one right here. One on the underside. I'm going to take that one. See if I can get some more growth out in this direction on it. You know, the more I look at this branch right here, it's got this 90-degree turn on it. I'm not sure I love it. I'll leave it for now, and if I don't like it, next year I can take it off. I'm probably going to wind up having to take a bunch of that off of that branch anyway in the future, just to keep it in proportion with the rest of the tree. Otherwise, this branch will just sort of take over everything if I'm not careful. But I like the branch, so I don't want to get rid of it. Not completely anyway. Like, it might look good just getting cut all the way back just to that little bit right there. You know, sometimes that's what you wind up with. But for now, I think it looks okay. Now we'll get it back into its pot and see if I can get a little bit higher and more attractive in there. Well, there you have it, everybody. That is the wintertime prune up of my Crepe Myrtle tree here on Back Alley Bonsai. As always, hit the like button, subscribe if you wish to, leave comments down below, and have yourselves a wonderful day.